Welcome to Faith Between the Lines. I'm Scott. Before we begin tonight, I want to speak directly to you, the person listening right now. Wherever you are, whatever you've been carrying, I want you to know this. You are allowed to grow beyond the version of yourself that life once demanded. You are allowed to change, and you are allowed to rise. Now, sometimes becoming someone new doesn't feel like a clean moment. It feels like a slow unfolding, a quiet shift, a truth that you can sense before you can name it. And if you're in that place tonight, you're not alone. So take a breath with me, settle your shoulders, and let your spirit come forward. There comes a moment, often small, almost unremarkable, when you realize you're not the same person you were before the loss. Not because you wanted to change, not because you tried, but because grief has a way of reshaping the soul in places no one else can see. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't arrive with clarity or confidence. It comes softly, like the way the morning light slips under the door before you're fully awake. Maybe it's the way that you breathe a little deeper. Maybe it's the way that you pause before reacting. Maybe it's the way you feel yourself reaching for something gentler, something steadier, something that feels like hope, even if you can't call it that yet. This is the first quiet shift, the moment when the heart begins to stretch towards a future it isn't sure it deserves yet, but somehow still longs for. You don't have to name it. You don't have to understand it. You only have to notice it. The subtle turning of the inner compass pointing you toward a version of yourself you haven't met yet. And in that noticing, something sacred begins to happen. When you begin to sense the change within you, it can feel unsettling. There's a part of you that wants to hold on to who you were. Not because the version was perfect, but because it was familiar. It was known. It was safe in its own way. Stepping into something new means stepping into uncertainty. And uncertainty can feel like standing at the edge of the shoreline you've never walked before, the waves reaching toward your feet, inviting you, but also reminding you that one step in and you won't be the same. There's a fear in that. The fear of losing that last piece of life that you had. Fear of betraying the memory of the person you loved. Fear of moving too fast or not fast enough. But there's beauty there too. A beauty that grief often hides until the heart is ready. Because becoming someone new doesn't mean abandoning who you were. It means allowing the love, the loss, and the lessons, the memories to shape you into someone deeper, someone softer, someone more awake to the scaredness of life. You're not stepping away from your past. You're stepping with it, carrying it like a lantern that lights the path ahead. And even in the path feels unfamiliar, even if your steps are unsteady, there is something profoundly holy about choosing to move forward at all. One of the hardest truths to accept is that grief has changed you. Not in a single moment, and not in a way that you can always explain. It reshapes you slowly like water shaping stone, gently, persistent, and over time. But here's the part that we often forget. Grief doesn't erase who you are, and it doesn't erase who you were. It doesn't take away the love that you gave, the memories you hold, or the pieces of yourself that were formed long before the loss. Instead, it deepens you. It teaches you to listen more closely. It softens the places that were once rigid. It opens your heart to the quiet stories of others who are hurting, because now you begin to understand something you didn't understand before. You become someone who sees the world differently, not because you've lost your past, but because your past now carries a sacred weight. And in that weight, there is wisdom. And in that wisdom, there is compassion. And in that compassion, there is the beginning of a new kind of strength, one that doesn't deny the pain, but honors it. You are becoming someone else. You are becoming someone more. There comes a point in the journey where you stop fighting the change, not because the grief has vanished, not because everything suddenly makes sense, but because you begin to recognize that growth is not the enemy. It's the quiet companion that's been walking beside you all along. Acceptance doesn't arrive with fireworks. It doesn't feel like a grand revelation. It feels more like a soft exhale, the kind that you don't realize you were holding. You start to understand that becoming someone new doesn't mean leaving your loved one behind. It means carrying them differently. It means letting their memories shape the choices you made, the compassion you offer, the way you show up in the world. You begin to see that your healing is not a betrayal. It's a continuation of the love that you shaped, the lessons that steadied you, and the hope that still flickers somewhere inside, even on the days you feel dim. Growth becomes something you no longer resist. You begin to welcome it, slowly, cautiously, but sincerely. Because you realize that becoming someone new is not about replacing the person you were. It's about expanding into someone who can hold both the sorrow and the possibility of what comes next. And in that gentle acceptance, a new kind of peace begins to form in you. I would like to share with you now a poem of reflection that I wrote. The name of this poem is called The Shape of Becoming. Becoming isn't a sudden light. It's walking through the longest night, where shadows test the heart you hold, and faith is forged like ancient gold. It's laying down what kept you small, the fear, the guide, the rise, the fall. And hearing God within the hush reminded you, child, you're more than dust. It's breathing when the storms won't cease, and finding in the wreck a peace that whispers through the breaking air. I'm shaping you through every prayer. For every tear that touched the ground becomes the strength you carry now. The Spirit's mold, what you can release from fractured pieces and holy peace. I'm not yet who I'm called to be, but something sacred rises in me. A quiet truth, a steady drum, the shape of whom I will become. As I begin to close tonight, may you feel a soft courage rising in you, the kind that doesn't rush or demand, but simply invites you to take one small step toward the person you are becoming. May you trust that nothing you've loved is lost. Every memory, every lesson, every moment of tenderness is still part of you, shaping you and guiding you, lighting the way forward in ways that you may not see yet, but will. May you release the fear that growth means forgetting. It doesn't mean forgetting. It means honoring the past by allowing it to help you live more fully in the present. And may you walk gently into the new chapter, carrying your grief with reverence, your hope with humility, and your becoming with grace. You are not leaving anything behind. You are carrying it in a different now, and that is holy. Before I close tonight, I want to invite you into this moment with me. As you heard the poem, The Shape of Becoming, was there a line that stirred something quiet in you? A truth arising? A change in the beginning, maybe? If so, share it with me. Your being here and having a voice here matters. Thank you for spending time with me on Faith Between the Lines. I hope I met you right where you are. And until next time, remember, you're never walking alone.